Swing and a miss. Struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
And the Sixers win it! Wow!
Oh, man, and being just posterized Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles? Let me get a hell yeah!
Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Party on Broad. It's your boy Deibs, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Today is our Eagles versus Cowboys recap, and we are going to talk about what the Eagles need to do, the moves they need to make as the offseason rears its ugly head next week. Joining us today is my man Rob, the voice of the people. Follow him on Twitter at Philly_Madness. What's going on, Rob?
Black Monday, man. It's been a long time since we felt this one, you know, before the end of the regular season. But it's Black Monday, but this is what was needed. You know, they needed this, and for it to happen in the way that it did yesterday, in what I would call embarrassing fashion, I hope will lead to at least some moves being made that need to be made.
That was like my main take when I joined Dylan's Daily Dose. Like, as much as I would have loved to see Jalen Hurts play next week for a playoff spot, the reality is the Eagles suck, man. They are a bad football team with serious salary cap issues and very little young talent. Jeffrey Lurie can't turn his back on this one. He has to call people out on it. The front office, top to bottom, has to burn. Also joining us today is my man Dylan. Follow him on Twitter at DylanJD98. What's going on, Dylan?
I feel like I haven't watched that Party on Broad intro music in forever. I feel like it's been a while since the three of us have been on the show together. I'm with Rob. Like, normally in a normal year, I would be utterly depressed right now. Like, seriously depressed that the Eagles season is over, especially to the hands of the Cowboys. But I'm just like told you, like you said, they're a bad football team, and everyone was kidding themselves when they thought, oh, new quarterback, spark, maybe they can make a run. Guys, they were 4-9-1 going into this week for a reason. They're 4-10-1 for a reason. They're a bad football team from top to bottom. Yep.
It just feels like forever ago when I was there at the art museum watching my man Carson, Howie Roseman, Doug Peterson at the art museum for the Super Bowl parade. It's just the amount of issues the Eagles have. It's a straight up laundry list of issues. It's just like I said, Jeffrey Lurie has a lot of calls to make this offseason. I'm just glad I'm not the one that's going to be doing it. But let's get into our main takeaways from the Eagles' loss to the Cowboys. There will be no postseason for the Eagles for the first time since 2016. I love what you said on the Daily Dose today, Dylan, because it is 100% fact. It's pretty obvious. So much of the blame game has fallen on Carson Wentz's shoulders this season, especially on social media. The Cowboys' loss was Exhibit A, that the Eagles' problems go far beyond. They're more deeply rooted than just the quarterback position. The Eagles' secondary was gashed against the Cowboys. Andy Dalton had 377 yards passing. Two Cowboys receivers topped 100 yards. On the Eagles' end, the Eagles' offense couldn't keep up. After they scored touchdowns on their first two drives, the offense didn't reach the end zone again, and the Eagles gave up a 14-3 lead. For the first time ever, guys, we saw a rookie Jalen Hurts yesterday. He wasn't great. He made some impressive plays, but it wasn't enough. The offense was just flat after the first two drives. Hurts finished with 21 of 39, 342 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, and he rushed for 69 yards. Rob, what was your take on this Eagles game?
Well, I mean, you said it, that we need to stop with that. This was all on a quarterback position. This is on the coaching staff. This is on the management. This is on the front office. What you saw was an absolute embarrassment, but it was a microcosm of the season. Okay, you know, Reuben Frank had a stat today. They're the first team in 36 years to lead 2 games in a season by 10 points and then lose both of those games by 10 or more points. And it seems like the Eagles were in a lot of record-breaking things this year, and not very many of them were good. And one of the things, and I said this on the Daily Dose, I'll say it again, when a team is as undisciplined as the Philadelphia Eagles have been this season, penalty-wise, in scheme, in coverage, and all that stuff. That is a direct correlation to coaching. And when it comes to penalties, it's a direct correlation to the head coach. I understand that the guys like him. I understand the guys want to play for him. But a message is being missed. And honestly, I sit here today and question if Doug Peterson actually knows what to do in game or if he's throwing darts against the wall and hoping they stick. Because when you see him on drive number 1 run the ball 9 times and then only call 12 more design running plays the rest of the game, if you see him on the second drive, Jalen Hurts throws a dart for an 81-yard touchdown pass, and then they come out the next drive and run it 3 straight times, but one of them on 3rd and 4 when, hey, why don't you pass the ball a little bit there? Like, he just doesn't know when to run, when to pass, when to go for it, when not to go for it. He punts it on 4th and 4, but then he goes for it on 4th and 15. I mean, everyone talks about Carson Wentz's regression over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Well, look at the team's regression under Doug Peterson. Super Bowl, divisional round, aided by Cody Parkey. Wild card round, aided by Carson Wentz's Herculean effort. And now no playoffs. He has regressed. He has gotten worse. Someone said, it was probably that asshat Joe Giglio, I think, put out there today. Jeffrey Lurie should learn from his mistake of getting rid of Andy Reid too quickly. No, the mistake that Jeffrey Lurie made was he kept Andy Reid around probably 2 years too long because of the great things that he did here. He has to learn from that mistake. Get rid now. End it now. Doug might be able to go somewhere and be a success with an offensive coordinator. That's fine. But it ain't going to work. This organization needs a complete washout. And if that game of all games didn't show it to you, then we might be in for like 90s Eagles where they're just going to be average forever until Jeffrey Lurie sells the team. And I hate that.
Yeah, I woke up this morning happy because there's no way Jeffrey Lurie can ignore a 20-point loss to the freaking Dallas Cowboys that ended your season and just turn his back on it. And historically probably the worst division of all time. So that makes me feel good that changes have to be made. Dylan, what was your take from this Eagles-Cowboys game?
Well, first of all, changes do need to be made because, like you said, you can't ignore it. You're the first team eliminated from playoff contention in maybe the worst division in NFL history, to your point, Deibs. Second of all, I want to start my comment by saying Carson Wentz was benched this season, rightfully so, because of his poor play. He was cooked mentally. He was done. The season was over for him. That's partially because of him. That is partially because he was a byproduct of what the Eagles put around him and Doug Peterson. But I was told my main takeaway is exactly what I've been shouting to everyone for weeks and all season long when Carson wasn't playing well and I was being told Carson sucks. He's not good. He had one good year. If you take away the turnovers and take him out of the game, plug in a new quarterback, Jalen Hurts, Nick Foles, whoever you want, and this is a good football team. Well, let's see, guys. 400 total yards of offense, 4 touchdowns against the Arizona Cardinals. Not going to cut it. They lose that game. Over 300 passing yards, an 81-yard touchdown to Deshaun Jackson. Not going to cut it against the Dallas Cowboys. My point was, is, and always will be that this team stinks from top to bottom. The secondary, the offensive line, the wide receiver separation, the linebackers, the play calling, the defensive coordinator, the GM. It's garbage right now. And Carson Wentz couldn't play hero ball for a second straight season. It doesn't matter who is under center. It doesn't matter what the numbers look like. This team stinks, and it's too much to overcome for any quarterback. My second takeaway is the fact that people need to stop thinking this offense looks better with Jalen Hurts. Does it look a little bit better? Yeah, Cardinals game really did. But here's the thing, guys. In the second half, I said this earlier on the Daily Dose, he started 3 games. In the second half of those 3 games, so 6 total quarters, Jalen Hurts, Doug Peterson, and this Philadelphia Eagles offense has combined for 13 points. 7 against the Saints, 6 against the Cardinals, and 0 against the Cowboys. They scored 14 on Sunday night against the Cowboys on the first 2 possessions of the game. It was 14-3. The game ended 37-17. They were outscored 34-3. They had like 3 or 4 straight possessions in Dallas territory and came away with 0 points. So stop it. Everyone needs to finally realize, and that's not an indictment on Jalen Hurts. This is not a jab at Jalen Hurts. This is for everyone to finally understand it wasn't just Carson playing poorly. And it doesn't matter if Jalen Hurts throws for 350 passing yards.
Well,
this team stinks.
And it's an indictment of Doug Peterson, because what's happening is the head coach on the other side is making an adjustment at halftime, and Doug can't adjust back. And that is a huge, huge issue that, you know what, I'm at the point where I just want to see him go. I don't even want him here.
There was a sequence during this game that truly defined the Eagles season in 2020. After that Darius Slay interception, his first interception, you saw the Eagles get the ball at the Cowboys 28-yard line in that third quarter. And there was a good chance that the Eagles were able to kind of cut into that Dallas Cowboys lead. What happened next? The Eagles proceeded with 2 penalties that pushed the Eagles back 8 yards, and they were left with a 4th and 15 back at the Cowboys 33-yard line. Instead of attempting that field goal, Doug Peterson went for it, and the Eagles didn't convert. And that's just something that we've seen over and over and over again, not only in 2020, but in years past. The Eagles are among the worst in the NFL in defensive takeaways. But worse yet, when they get one, how many times do we see this team screw it up and just fail to build momentum each and every time? You nailed it, Rob. Like, how many times do we see and call out Doug Peterson on his inability to read the football game? He has no idea what's happening during the game, and the play calling is a great way to showcase how inept Doug Peterson and how much he has regressed in terms of just knowing the offense, knowing his guys, and not knowing how to put guys in better positions. Any other takes on this Eagles versus Dallas game?
Good riddance.
Let's do a quick grading of Jalen Hurts' performance. I put a poll out, 209 votes. 57% says Jalen Hurts gives him a C. Any thoughts on that, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, look, he made some nice plays. He made some not good plays. But I'm not putting this – it would be very hypocritical. It would be like the anti-Wentz faction for me to now turn around and say, oh, this is all on Jalen Hurts. When I make a comment and say, I guess it's not the quarterback, that's not a Jalen Hurts. Like, Jalen Hurts did what he could. You know what I mean? But the offensive line broke down. The penalties were a killer. And he attempted to play hero ball. I think I don't know if it was Rob Motti or somebody else said the only way this team was going to win this year was if their quarterbacks were able to play hero ball. Carson Wentz wasn't. Jalen Hurts was able to do it against the Saints, with his legs and all that kind of stuff. It just wasn't in the cards yesterday. And it just, to me, is more of an indictment on this coaching staff. And I'm going to be, totally good with them all going if that's the direction Lori goes.
All right, we're going to talk about what needs to change. But first, Dylan, how would you grade Jalen Hurts yesterday?
Yeah, I'm with Rob. I'm not going to come out and give this kid like an F or anything because that would be against what I've been preaching all season. My point was never that Jalen Hurts sucks or that Jalen Hurts can't be a guy somewhere. My point was that with the mess of this team, no one's going to fix it. It's not Jalen Hurts, nobody. So it wasn't all on Carson Wentz. A C is a little generous. I'd give him a D plus probably. I mean, the kid was not good. He was completely overwhelmed in that game. He had good field position off the Darius Slay interception. They were inside Dallas territory multiple times. He had 2 bad interceptions. He put the ball on the ground twice. He was 21 of almost 40. So, yeah, outside the Jackson throw, he wasn't good at all. And again, I'm not trying to bash him, but I'd probably give him a D plus. But Rob, give it to Doug again to remember that Cleveland game that our first ever live stream in the monsoon, and Carson dropped back like 40 some times in a monsoon. Yeah. So Jalen Hurts was 21 of 39, but Jalen Hurts dropped back over 50 times on Sunday.
Yeah. It just makes no sense, man. It makes no sense when you watch how how fluid that first drive was. Probably the best first drive of the season, and they ran the ball 9 times and threw it twice.
How many times that happen? It happens all the time. They have a great first drive or 2 drives, and then Doug Peterson just goes completely against what's working on the field.
Well, he stopped. Good.
And what is it? Those first 15 are scripted, but there's other coaches are helping with that script. Is that what we're led to believe? And then it's on Doug from there, which is a disaster in its own right. I mean, it's so frustrating.
My thing is, again, the Daily Dose show, when I was going on a rant, and tonight it's not pro Carson, it's not anti Jalen, it's to the clown portion of the fan base that thinks they were going to give the kid the keys to the city after 2 games. Guys, the Cowboys defense is one of the worst in the NFL. It was the same defense that Carson Wentz had 4 turnovers against and looked awful. The Eagles won that game by double digits. You remember that one, Deibs? When people wanted Carson benched after a double-digit win because he played so poorly? Yep. Carson had 4 turnovers. Jalen Hurts had 3 turnovers in a rout loss. And he's a rookie. I expect those rookie games, those rookie mistakes. But my point is, keep the same energy when you want to back Jalen Hurts so proudly and bash Carson Wentz so loudly.
Yep. All right, let's get into what changes need to happen. When I first think about starting with changes, I think the biggest thing that comes to my mind is Rob, I have a question for you. You want to buy your daughter or your wife, some Eagles merch, a jersey for Christmas. What player do you choose based on their future with the Philadelphia Eagles? Who would you go with right now?
A 76ers merchandise instead.
Exactly. There's literally nobody on this team that you could be yep.
Well, I'm pretty cheap, so I would probably go get an 11 jersey because he's 50% off at most stores.
I'm waiting to be super petty if they trade him and buy his next team's jersey.
All right. Bear with me, guys. So we've talked about what needs to happen. And quite frankly, the Eagles front office needs to be set on fire. It all needs to go. Let's talk about Jim Schwartz. It doesn't take a genius to see how poorly the defense has been gashed these last few weeks. The guy routinely puts guys in bad positions. His defense doesn't work. You get to Howie Roseman. That's probably number 1A, and Doug Peterson's number 1B. I'm going to get to Doug in a little bit. But you talk about Howie Roseman. The Eagles started an undrafted cornerback yesterday, while Howie Roseman has drafted 1 cornerback during the past 3 years. And the ones that he did draft, the 2nd and 3rd round picks in 2017, they're gone. Howie's got to go. Talk about a guy that can't recognize talent if it bit him in the ass. And then you get the Dave Phipp. The special teams unit is just straight up embarrassing. I'm laughing, but believe me, I'm hurting on the inside. Our special teams unit fails to get any spark. And you talk about a guy like Jalen Reagor that they just refuse to use in the return game. He has 4 return punts this year. One of them was a touchdown. But I think the biggest question here is what to do with my man Doug Peterson. And you just can't deny the path, the projection of this franchise right now. The fact is the Eagles are a bad football team. They haven't reached the double-digit wins in 3 years since the Super Bowl. The Eagles are 22, 24-1, 23, 26-1 if you're including the playoffs since the Super Bowl. The last time the Eagles had a double-digit losses in a season, guess who was given the axe? Mr. Andy Reid. You look at yesterday, the Eagles were penalized 12 times, including 6 false starts. This is a team that continues to not be prepared, and that's all on Doug Peterson. We've seen it again and again, and we saw it yesterday. The Eagles were down 13 points in the 3rd quarter. The Eagles had a delay of game on a 4th and 3 on the Cowboys' 46-yard line. Peterson's play calling and his decision-making has been the biggest mystery question mark, and it could be actually his downfall in Philadelphia. I just think a change of scenery is probably best moving forward. So I hate to say this, Jeffrey Lurie needs to make the hard decision that the direction of the franchise is inexcusable. The Eagles and Doug Peterson have to part ways at this time next week. As I've said 1,000 times, it's time to let 2017 go. And Jeffrey Lurie, man, this guy needs to move on. It needs to happen. And the days of zero accountability have to stop. It's time to move on. Floor is yours, Rob.
Well, I'm going to answer this question in two ways. First, I'm going to answer it with what should happen. And what should happen is a clean sweep of everybody that you just talked about, Deibs. Howie should be gone. Doug should be gone. Schwartz, Fipp, everybody. Deuce. Everybody needs to go from a coaching and management standpoint. And like nobody would survive with the awful decisions that Howie Roseman has made. No one would survive that. Now, I'll answer it this way. What's going to happen? Howie's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere.
Has to.
I mean, Jeffrey Lurie likes to have a say, and Howie Roseman allows him to have that say. So, I hate it because all you're going to be doing is trying to Band-Aid it. I do believe the chances are higher than 50% that Doug is gone at this point. I understand today he said he's not, but I think it's higher than 50% at this point, which means the whole coaching staff will go. But here's the only thing that I won't even say will make me happy, but John Dorsey's obviously been a secretive member of the front office lately. You have to do whatever you can in your power to keep him here. If you're too good of a bathroom buddy of Howie Roseman to fire him, then you quietly allow John Dorsey to make all the drafting decisions and you let Howie just do the money thing, even though he's not very good at that anymore. I just do not see Jeffrey Lurie firing Howie Roseman. I don't know how. I don't know how he's going to explain it to his fan base when any GM that would have done what he just did would have been canned like the day the season ends. And then from there, the other big thing that needs to happen is what do you do with the quarterback situation? And I know that there's a belief out there that you can't bring both back. Well, yes, you can.
You're going to.
And you're probably going to. And honestly, Reuben Frank put a great article out there today, and I agree with him. You bring them both back, but you let Carson know you're our number one unless you get beat out. To start the season, you're our number one. We understand last year. We get it. It was a shit year, but you're our guy. Okay? And you let him play. And listen, if it doesn't work and he still stinks, well, there's Jalen Hurts with a month of NFL, experience. Thank you. With a month of NFL experience to go to. I think that it can coexist. It can't coexist with Carson as the backup. Like that will not be good.
No.
And people could say, "Oh, well, that's being a big baby." No. That's being a competitor who was given a major contract less than 2 years ago. That's what that is. That's the way I would do it. That's how I feel. If you bring in a guy, whether it's at the head coach or the offensive coordinator, whatever it is, to work with Carson, you got to build him from the mechanics back up. But I think that they're both back next year. My hope is with a new coach and a new front office.
Yeah, personally, I think Jalen Hurts will be back in Philadelphia in 2021. The truth is we haven't seen enough of sample size of Jalen Hurts to firmly cement that Jalen Hurts is the guy moving forward. The recency bias on Jalen Hurts is real. You touched on it, Dylan. We've seen this play out before, too, with other quarterbacks. Kevin Cobb. You remember him? He just lit the world on fire, lit Philadelphia on fire his first couple starts. Where is he now? All in all, though, it's a hot mess, man. This is one of those situations that could get really ugly in the locker room. So it's just that's Howie for you. There's nothing you can do. It's just a hot mess. You're up, Dylan.
Oh, I agree with Rob. The issue is I don't think Howie's going anywhere. But at the same time, I also kind of want to say I don't think Doug's going anywhere. But at the same time, if we're not going to put up with it, and I think a lot of the fan base, regardless of who the quarterback is next year, is going to be fed up with it. If there's no change, how can we live through another season of Eagles football like this? I can't. And I think about it. After a COVID year, fans should be back next year. He's got to put asses in seats. Who's going to want to pay hundreds of dollars to go watch the same slop. If you cannot finish 4-11-1 or 5-10-1 3 years after you win a Super Bowl. And like Rob pointed out earlier, which is a great point, everyone wants to talk about Carson regression when it's been 1 year of regression. Doug has regressed since winning the Super Bowl. Point blank, record-wise, playoff performance-wise, everything. He's regressed.
Chip Kelly has more 10-win seasons than Doug Peterson.
We laugh, but it's true.
It's crazy.
We laugh, but it's true. So my answer is both of them need to be gone. If there's one that's going to be gone before the other, it's Doug. But I don't know if either of them are going anywhere, but it has to. You can't look at 4-10-1 when you're like I said earlier, you're the first team eliminated from playoff contention in maybe the worst division in NFL history. You can't take that and just, like Rob said, put Band-Aids on it and move and just see what happens next year. There's no way. And for the Howie Roseman number guy, like I remember everyone used to say that, keep him around for the cap. What cap? He's built this roster, this old-ass roster, that's $60 million over the cap.
Yep.
If they try to cut their kicker, they owe him $8 million. Who the hell, what cap genius creates that?
Yeah.
That
is one of the most biggest myths I've ever seen, is that Howie Roseman's good with the cap. Like what look at this team.
I want to know, where did that come from? Where did that saying come from?
I guess he has a history of just reshaping some numbers just to kind of fit the roster.
Early on, yeah. He was able to, when it looked like they didn't have cap room, create cap room. And maybe there's a way to do that now. I mean, I don't know it. Part of the problem right now is, like you said, it's these older guys, but I think Alshon comes off the books at the end of this year. I think Deshaun comes off the books at the end of this year. They showed the guys that will be a list of unrestricted free agents who, honestly, out of the entire list, I wouldn't sign one guy. I would not sign.
You wouldn't bring back the Green Goblin?
No, I would not bring back the Green Goblin. I'm done with the Vinny Curry idea. They
have to start drafting guys, man. Like my man Kevin here says, fire Doug, fire Howie, trade Wentz, cut Elliott, fire Phipp, fire Schwartz, fire everybody.
You don't trade Wentz, dude. You don't do it. You can't.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
I don't think people are understanding. It is an historic dead cap hit that you're taking. The largest in history.
By a lot.
No one is going to do it. And by the way, if you fire Howie, I am willing to bet whoever you bring in here to be the next GM is going to tell you, I'm not trading Carson Wentz. We're going to get him back. Yeah. Because Carson has done too many good things to just throw him away off 1 year. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say there.
LW says, fire Howie, get a better-minded GM, get young, and keep core pieces. Like, speaking of core pieces, I think a big question is what to do between Jordan Mailata and Andre Dillard next year. It's probably most likely that Andre Dillard will be the main guy at left tackle next year, but obviously because of the investment they made as a first-round pick. But Jordan Mailata is 2 years younger. This is a guy that's shown major promise on a season of lows. This is probably one of the bigger bright spots for the Eagles. The point is, Howie Roseman, Doug Peterson, how much of a train wreck this is. I have no idea what Andre Dillard is moving forward. We do know that Jordan Mailata can be a swing tackle. With the way Mailata has played, I don't think it's crazy that this guy could potentially play left tackle next year, and that could be a potential trade. I know you could never have enough offensive linemen, but maybe move Andre Dillard to another team, get a linebacker, get a young corner. But that's just another position where we don't know. This season has been just a catastrophe in so many ways, not just front office, but really developing guys. It's just a mystery. I don't know where to go from here.
So, Deibs, this is kind of off script. It's not in our breakdown, but the LW puts in get young and keep core pieces. So it made me think, who's our core right now? How many core pieces do we have? Honestly, figure it out. If I'm saying Carson's a core piece, so okay. That's my opinion, Carson. Okay. Who's outside of that? Darius Slay,
Do you even keep
Miles Sanders,
I think Miles and Jalen Reagor are here.
Dallas Goedert.
Dallas Goedert's a core piece. Personally, I do not believe you'll see Zach Ertz in the Eagles uniform after Sunday.
So we'll say max 5 core pieces.
It's a mess.
Yeah,
That's why I asked Rob, like, who would you buy that jersey? Like, because I like to watch young guys develop. Obviously, like I'm not buying a Miles Sanders jersey. I can't.
I just got one for Christmas.
Did you?
I bought one before he ever suited up.
I got Miles Sanders and Darius Slay.
0% of my body can say that Miles Sanders is going to be on this roster in 5 years. That's the truth. I just don't see it. I don't see it. They have so many holes. Like, remember Howie Roseman says we got to get younger and faster. What the hell are you talking about, man?
That's why,
where are we?
Deibs, they have lost so much of my respect and trust this year. Everything that comes out of his weasel mouth, everything that comes out of Doug's arrogant mouth, I don't believe. Everything they try to feed you is bullshit.
Yep.
Miles Sanders was the bell cow premier running back coming into training camp. What happened to that? Everything he says is a lie.
Well, that's what I mean. They have not told the truth now for 3 years. I'm telling you, and you could tell me I'm nuts. And it's funny because at the time, my father said something to me, and I was like, "Oh, you're such an old man. Stop with that nonsense." They win a Super Bowl, right? They win Super Bowl 52. 51 other men, well, at least, say 40 some odd other men had won a Super Bowl before and had defied the odds before. How many of them wrote a book with under a month or two after they won that Super Bowl?
It's great.
We should have known then that this guy's arrogance was going to kill him and be his demise. And you could tell me that I'm just being an asshole, but he is more arrogant because he's fraudulently arrogant than a Chip Kelly, than an Andy Reid, than anybody else that you think is arrogant. He wrote a book. Nick Foles, different story when you think about what the hell that whole thing was.
Yeah. He would almost quit football.
Peterson's writing, and people are going to say, why are you bringing up old shit? Because it tells the story of the last 3 years. A guy that thinks his shit don't stink, that whatever he does is going to turn, whatever he touches will turn to gold. Right. And here we are out of the playoffs and contemplating that he should be gone.
I'm telling you, man, it has to happen. This time next week, Jeffrey Lurie just needs to grab Doug by the balls and say, enough is enough. We're going to agree to mutually part ways. And Jeffrey Lurie needs to send a message, a clear message, starting with Doug Peterson, that the shit needs to stop, the bleeding needs to stop, and just get this franchise, away from circling down the toilet drain, because that's honestly what it is. You look at the salary cap, you look at the young depth, it's nothing, guys. So any other takes on what needs to be made? Dylan, leave with you. Anything else?
I mean, there's a laundry list of
it really
crazy all season.
It's overwhelming.
But none of those, in my opinion, none of those things can get set in motion until change is made. And none of the external factors, who you bring in, who you draft, none of that, who you trade, can happen until you make change internally first. Being with your coordinators, with Doug Peterson, with Howie Roseman, whatever you do, at least something has to happen this year. Now, maybe not all of it happens. Maybe not Doug and Howie are both gone. Maybe Jim's not gone. Someone has to be gone. And it sucks to say, we're not trying to sit here and, take away someone's livelihood for the time being. But, I mean, it is what it is. If you don't perform well at your job, you're done. You're out of a job. And that's what people were saying about Carson Wentz in the comments before. It was like, well, he's not doing his job. Okay, agreed. So he's on the bench. Keep the same energy for Doug Peterson. Keep the same energy for Howie Roseman. How many chances do they get to show what they really are at their job and just continue to do it? It's unbelievable.
It has to stop. It's time to move on from 2017. That is done by Jeffrey Lurie on Monday going, press conference, boys. Doug Peterson's gone. We're changing the direction of this franchise. We're going to get younger, and we're going to stick with Carson Wentz and get him someone that can actually change his mechanics and get him pointed in the right direction. Any final thoughts, Rob? What?
That's been my thought. That's been my plan all along. That's been one more year, and if he is truly broken, I will tell everyone I was wrong from the get-go. One more year.
Listen, I said at the end of last year, after the loss to Seattle, I remember going on the Madness the following week, and I said, no, you're not firing Doug this year. But if you get the same sort of situation where they have to scratch and claw at the end of the year to get into the playoffs, then you need to start talking about it. Well, this was beyond having to scratch and claw. This was a downright train wreck. Mm-hmm. 4 wins? 4 wins. I mean, come on. This team does not go 3-13 or 4-12 very often since the year 2000. The last time they did, Andy Reid was fired. Fired. You don't survive these seasons, and I don't care who you are. You don't survive these seasons when your team has playoff aspirations at the beginning of the year. If you're the Bengals and you go 4-10, so be it. If your starting quarterback like Dak Prescott gets hurt, so be it. Right? They're playing Ben DiNucci.
Well, real quick, Rob, not to cut you off, but if Alex Smith does not play Sunday night, the team you picked to win the Super Bowl is getting a ticket to the dance. I promise you.
Crazy. It's crazy.
I promise you that. The Dallas Cowboys are going to win this division if Alex Smith doesn't play against the Eagles.
Watch out, baby. Watch out. Everyone laughed at my pick. Everyone laughed at my pick. I might be dead on.
Yeah. Andy Dalton.
MVP.
It's crazy how far we have fallen, Rob. Because when I think of now that the season is over, I go back to when the season began. Before it began, when Rob and I had all these guys come on from the beat writers from other teams, like Patricia Traina of the New York Giants. We had a dude from NBC down in sports and from Washington. Yeah. And what was the one thing we kept saying over and over and over, Rob? It was the fact that the biggest strength the Eagles have for themselves is the front office, is the coaching staff. Because you look at across the NFC East, everyone had so much change going there in the shortened off season. Man, it just has completely fallen apart. It's just crazy to think back at what was a strength is now literally a nightmare. Let's go to some comments quick. We have Matthew saying Carson should get traded to the Colts. The Eagles are not going to bite $34 million.
Next comment.
We have LW saying get a number 2 corner out of the draft. Besides Slay, the secondary isn't too good. That's my 2 top needs for the Eagles in this draft, which I'm going to jump into. Should I get out my draft board? I don't know. Is wide receiver and cornerback. That is by far the 2 biggest spots for the Eagles moving forward. Matthew says our secondary sucks every year, and we do not do nothing. We can't even draft. Amen. Jim Schwartz got to go. Ty Book says, Dylan, how many shows have you done tonight? 6?
Just 2. The typical. The typical.
Ty Book says
he may be right. He might be right. It might only be Jim Schwartz.
You think so?
Did you guys also hear, real quick, did you hear Doug today not only throw his resume out there like he's got some big bad resume as the Philadelphia Eagles head coach, but did you also hear him say he believes he knows what to do to fix it?
Oh, he knows how to fix it. Yeah.
You know how to fix it.
Then where were you the last 14 weeks, Doug?
That's news to me, Doug.
He's part of the solution, guys. Remember that. Oh. Just absolutely a guy that just refuses to look at himself and his coaching staff in the mirror. It's crazy. And it has a trickle-down effect because now Carson does it.
Not once this season did Doug Peterson take blame. He gave them, I could do a better job, but he always followed it up by throwing somebody else, a lot of times number 11, under the bus.
Yep. All right, let's wrap it up, guys. Dylan, plugs. You're up, man.
Well, the Faithful Fanatics show will be at 5 here on the Painted Lines YouTube, Twitter, Facebook on Wednesday. I believe we're still having Rob Motti on the show this week. And then just tomorrow and Thursday, the Daily Dose will be live at 5. Wednesday, because of the Faithful Fanatics, the Daily Dose will be live at 6. So tune into that. Guys, please, if you're watching, The Daily Dose, I'm trying to make it as interactive as possible. So I'm posting the link in the comments. You can come on video chat with us, or you don't even have to show your face. If you're on your phone, just use the link. You can call in like you would a radio station and talk with me for a couple minutes, give your opinions on what I'm talking about, ask a question, whatever it is. So we'll have a lot of fun. Daily Dose tomorrow at 5.
Yes, sir. What about you, Rob?
All right, I'll be recording the Voice of the People this week. Instead of it being my Christmas wish list, it'll be my New Year's resolution list for the city of Philadelphia. It will still be negative. It will still be ripping people. It will be ripping the Eagles. It'll be ripping the Phillies. You'll definitely get the Twitter world ripped. There might be some radio personalities who I specifically call out. So that's going to come this week. Obviously, with New Year's Eve being on Thursday, we won't be hitting you with a madness this week.
Oh, yeah.
Probably a good thing. By the way, Dylan, Rob Motti don't want to hear about no blaming the coach either, so don't bring it up to him. He doesn't want to hear it. He's been on Twitter all day saying don't blame the coach.
I'll just ask Rob who he blames.
Yeah. So, make sure you stay tuned for the Voice of the People. And obviously, I don't know, be popping on live streams here and there. It's been real talking Eagles with you, but I'm looking forward to kind of transferring over to talking some Sixers with you. Even though, let's all calm down. Last night was the same night that Brooklyn lost and the Clippers lost
and the Bucks,
Milwaukee lost. Chill the hell out.
Amen.
I lied to everybody. The Daily Dose will not be live on Thursday, as Rob so kindly pointed out. It is New Year's Eve, although that could be a really interesting episode. But
remember those days, Deibs, where we used to go out and party? You know what I'm doing? I'm going to be in a house in Seattle with 2 5-year-olds and a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
Dreaming of the days where I could go and get blacked out on New Year's.
Rob, what'd you think of Wonder Woman? Did you watch it?
So I did exactly what you told me not to do. And I sat down to watch it, and I didn't even get to put it on though after 9.
Yep.
Of course, I dozed off.
I told you. I put money on that, man. Damn.
So now I have to literally go back up, rewind it a little bit because I can't even tell you where I left off. I'm super confused. It took me forever to understand how the hell Chris Pine was back. What is going on right now? And then it started to come back to me.
Awesome.
I don't know how I feel about Kristen Wiig but she hasn't really become evil yet. She's just starting to. Okay. So I don't know how I feel about it yet. I got to see tonight, but
awesome.
It was okay. But so I like the backstory stuff, so I'm okay with that.
Cool. LW says linebacker position is a need too. Imagine if Micah Parsons or Jamar Chase falls.
Well, LW
is 100% Chase. Yeah. That is not even a competition.
First of all, falls to us is generous because we have a top 3 to 7 draft pick because we're so bad.
Just lose Sunday, damn it! No winning on Sunday. Do not let Dallas into the playoffs. I'd rather Alex Smith play in the playoffs. I would love to see that guy, after everything he's been through, go to the playoffs.
Oh, hold on real quick.
Huh?
By the way, the guy that you refused to trade up a few spots to get so you could take the kid out of TCU in the first round basically made the first play to put your season to bed.
Yeah.
Thanks for that one.
Yep.
And he knew it, too, because he gave you one of these when he scored.
Yeah.
All right. This is the Painted Lines YouTube channel. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Guys, we are pumping out pretty much live streams almost every other day, especially when the Flyers start roughly a week or 2 from now. So it's going to be a blast. Tomorrow night, we'll be live streaming the Sixers game. I've been in pretty much all of them. I don't know how we're going to keep doing these things because it's taking a toll for sure. But it's really fun. So tomorrow night, Sixers, I think they play the Raptors tomorrow night, which is always a good time. So please be sure to subscribe. Please be sure to check out, turn on notifications and watch us tomorrow night during the Sixers versus Raptors live stream. Check out my guy, Dylan, the Daily Dose and the Faithful Fanatics podcast. Follow my man Dylan at DylanJD98 and the Voice of the People at Philly_Madness. For Rob, for Dylan, for myself. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay awesome.